Hey y'all, it's Trent Knox with the Trent Knox Show. This is season 3, episode 6, solo episode. It is January 21st, 2019. I appreciate you all for tuning in to this episode. This episode is brought to you by Anchor.fm, the one best source for your podcast distribution needs and podcast listening needs. With Anchor.fm, you're able to broadcast to almost all the digital streaming platforms out there for podcasts. And he even give you an awesome opportunity to earn a little money on the side. Or if you've got a current podcast that's doing numbers, to go on over there and check out their services. I highly recommend, if you haven't started a podcast, to use their services. My next thing is brought to you obviously by my job, Postmates. And if you head over onto my Facebook page, pinned to the top is a link to the opportunity to be a Postmates driver. Maybe you need a full-time gig, maybe you need a part-time gig, maybe you need a little cash on the side. There's a link there for your first 55 deliveries guaranteed of $600 with an additional bonus of $150 upon completion of that. Postmates for sure. My favorite job I've ever had. And very, very easy company to work for. Sorry. So, it's obviously brought to you by Twitch.tv as well for the live feed. If you're able to be able to sit in and watch the live stream, you can see me interact with the chat and interact with the viewers and people who are watching live. And this is going to be the first episode where I kind of want to introduce some new ideas. So I think that we should definitely have some sort of local effort to cover the news and cover some news in the world. Usually I kind of talk about subjects that matter to me and whatnot, but I'd like to introduce at least a couple different things. But anyway, let's get to the show. For me, a little bit what's going on with me. The last episode, I kind of wanted to do a history of who I am and what makes me the person that I am today. And with this episode, I want to talk about the person I am today and what I'm doing new to improve the person I was. So, when I was in college, I spent a lot of time basically reading a lot of books, watching a lot of, documentaries, and doing my best to become educated in a specific field. And that specific field was, first, it was mass communications. I had the thought that I might be a politician, or I might have been a lawyer, or some sort of public speaker for something or someone. And maybe that goal was this podcast or live streaming or video content creating, but at the time I didn't know. I got into building websites for myself and creating a YouTube channel, but I had a lot of backlash when I started that channel. My family was very, very, very upset with me. They felt that I was doing something that people would find negative about me, and that I need to, be careful of my public image. Not that it wasn't being, slandered behind my back enough, but I needed to be aware of my public image and, pretend to be someone that I wasn't online versus someone I was uh, in real life, or whatever that means. So essentially, I just gave it up. I didn't do anything. I wasn't participating that much on Facebook. I wasn't participating that much on Twitter or Instagram. And at the time, Instagram in 2012 wasn't what it was, gaining attention, but it didn't have the connotations it has today, and Snapchat wasn't even a thing yet. So, I think I may have gotten a LinkedIn later on, but I don't really remember. I was an early adopter of Twitter, 2009, which was pretty early for Twitter, because when Twitter came out, it was during the time in which there was people on Ustream, and it was an easy way to communicate with it was an easy way to promote, and it is today, your live streams and what you're doing. So I got the Twitter in 2009. I had my Facebook around the same time, I guess. And then in college, I used it a little bit, but then, like I said, my family kind of, told me to calm down, that I wasn't portraying myself in the best light. And as a result, pretty much throughout college, I didn't utilize the platform to the best of its ability, and my website crashed, and, the hosting and the domain name ran out, and so it was just like a bit of like a pain in the butt. But I I went to school after I transferred from Texas State University to the University of Hawaii. And I tried to get into some sort of program that was similar to the program that I was doing at Texas State, but they didn't have that program at the University of Hawaii for the type of mass communications that was like a politician or a lawyer or that kind of track there. They had, more specifically, they had like a lawyer track, but not like a public representative track. It not in the same context is what I'm trying to say. And they had a communications department and a communicology department, but the communications department was more focused on this type of stuff: podcast, radio, broadcast, which would be cool, but like it's not that difficult to get this stuff off the ground. I don't know why you would need to go to 4 years of college just to do this. Which goes back to the concept of it's not what you know, it's about who you know. And so I ended up going into the film program, the Academy of Creative Media at the University of Hawaii. And I was doing my best to, utilize the scholarship funds and grants and military funds that I still had left to finish off college, not participate as much in the social life of college. So from about 2012 to about 2014, I didn't really interact with a lot of the college party scene or anything like that. I had a good friend and I hung out with a lot. Had a couple different girlfriends, and I was fixing to fail out of college due to a course in Spanish. Though I went to the program where if you can't, finish a college course, I can't remember what it's called, but like if you can't complete the credit in the way you want, they can do like an alternative um, credit credit for the credit that you're supposed to be doing. So I wasn't able to, finish the courses in Spanish and pass the tests. So I got a cultural course for South America, and I took that course when I went to when I moved to Colorado, and then I was having a lot of difficulty with that course as well because I just really didn't care at that time. I just really didn't care. I'd already walked. I already received my stuff. It was just like I don't know what else I could do. I already had my diploma. I had all this stuff, and I was just waiting to finish one course, and so I had help. I had definitely got help at that end after writing a bunch of papers and getting peer review and then having to rewrite what other people rewrote so that it was in my because I don't know. There's a lot of hatred, a lot of gender bias, a lot of just ridiculousness in finishing college. So I finished, and but let's go back a little bit because I forgot to tell y'all what my point here is that my last semester at the University of Hawaii, I took a powerlifting course and a physical fitness course, and I learned basically how to be, like the intro level of becoming a physical trainer. And I dropped from about 200 pounds to about 150. Lost about 50 pounds in 4 months, and I, maybe I wasn't about 200. I was probably like 190. So maybe it was like 45 pounds. I've lost 45 pounds in 4 months. And I went from a 34-inch waist down to a 26-inch waist. I was in probably the best physical shape I've ever been in my entire life from when I was a kid, even because when I was a kid I was a little chunkier, a little bit thicker kid, and because I was playing football, I had the muscles, and I was just in a physically different shape, and went to college, got lackadaisical, didn't work out all the time, um, gained weight, lost weight. It was like my freshman year when I was at Texas State was mostly booze, cigarettes, drugs. Just that's what I consumed, you know, inside and outside of the college environment. So it was. I was a kid, I was 17, turned 18 my first semester of college. I graduated early. I'm smart to a certain degree. I wouldn't say I'm a genius or anything like that, but I'm smart and I can take tests. And I can pass most tests. So I got through that first semester, but I was, losing weight, gaining weight. That whole freshman 15 thing didn't ever happen. Never happened to me because I dropped from a 36-inch waist down to a 30-inch waist that first semester. I was working out off and on. It was like, I went to the gym. I never did the walk wall or the walk wall. Never did the rock climbing wall. I played a little basketball every once in a while. But primarily, just drugs and video games and um, actually, it was more drugs and fitness than it was drugs and video games. But uh, no, not to say that I was like doing GHB or any kind of steroids or anything like that. I've actually never tried those before, but I've heard from people that it can really help you, recover and be in a better shape. All in all. But anyway, so yeah, physically fit sort of. But then once I left there, and I went to Hawaii, I was kind of in a weird state physically because I was I was swimming like almost every single weekend, so I kind of dropped some weight, but I was still sticking around like I was still stuck in this 32 to 34-inch waistline because I wasn't in the gym. I wasn't running. What my cardio was specifically more in the upper body. Swimming in the ocean, and not a lot of leg kicks. It was more of just like kind of like wading. Just kind of like surfing and whatnot, but body surfing and whatnot. Not really, running or doing anything like that. The only running I was doing was to the buffet. But, and so I got through that first couple of semesters at Hawaii, not doing very much. Later in the semesters, maybe my third year, a little bit more fit. Fourth year, obviously, I took that course and got down to the best shape I've ever been in my entire life. But anyway, so get out of college, nothing. Haven't worked out seriously for 5 years now. I think 2019. I graduated in 2015, so 4 years I've worked out. In the gym, I can count maybe 4 times where I was taking it seriously enough. But these spurts of taking seriously fitness have been in, the month to 2 month time frames. But because as soon as I get in a routine, it seems as though I get to this point at which a lot of my time is then, either due to illness or work, a situation with finance that goes wrong. Something goes wrong to the point at which I find myself lethargic and unable to get motivated to go and work out. And maybe that's due to the fact that I don't have a home workout routine that much. But it's, you got to start somewhere. And when I was going to work out, I went to the gym. I would, do some treadmill, lift free weights, maybe run around the track, do stretches, that type of workout. But I haven't played basketball, football, ultimate frisbee, or any type of physical sports activity in over, like, seriously played or anything like that, in over 5-6 years. And it's, growing up, having every single weekend or every until my junior year in high school, I played football every weekend. And then even after that, I kind of played off and on every other weekend or every couple of weeks to every 3 weeks. I played football. And once I got to college, it was here and there. I Texas State, I played flag football one time, and I was super out of shape, wasn't prepared to do that. Then I played a little bit of frisbee and threw the football around. every once in a while when I was at Texas State, or I mean at University of Hawaii, but no physical activity as far as that goes. So I think that, you know, fast forward to today, over the past week and a half, I've, gotten together a plan, a fitness plan for myself, step by step, taking it very, very easily to get my body back into a place in which it can take that kind of physical tear, because I, when I start working out, generally, I hit the gym really hard. And there are a few people who can testify to this. Is like I push myself to the point at which I can't physically be the same person. Or I mean, not physically be the same person, but physically move the way that I normally would with my current weight. I get to the point at which my joints lock up and I can't physically walk for 3 to 4 days if I hit the gym the first out the gate, like 3 sets of the heaviest weight that I can do, and running till I fall on the ground. You know what I mean? And that's the type of workout I generally do my first time in the gym, and it's really so that I hit it and I can continue to go. So I've pushed my limit, and then I can just get back in there and just keep on going and going past that. But I think due to that mentality, that's been one of the blockades for me getting over that 1 to 2 to 3 month to 4 month hurdle of my physical ability. So I think I'm going to take it a lot easier now, and I'll push it to the point at which I'm just going to go one step by step. So, doing body lifting, push-ups, sit-ups, crunches, chin-ups, those type of, free body weight lifting, and then get some gym materials, or get some free weights, do some free weights at home, get physically fit in that manner, and then after I feel like I'm comfortable, I'm at, a weight that I probably want to get down to 175. Then I'll start doing some more physical activities, like playing, maybe a sport or something like that. Maybe probably basketball to keep up the cardio and whatnot. But at the same time, playing basketball, it can result in a lot of weight loss. And if you're playing, at your most intense level, going to 110%. And I'm not too certain my muscular structure will work to the point at which I want it to if I play basketball. I think I'll drop a lot of weight, but I won't have a lot of calories to burn for building muscle. So because I like to be a little bit more physically built than most basketball players. Basketball requires you to be a little bit more thin than I would like. So that's my fitness goals. As far as intellectual goals are going, I've been, following along with this Jeff Bezos news, and I want to pull up some information about it, because it's real interesting to find a guy that is, the richest man in the world, not only America, the richest man in the world, making a decision to lose $137 billion. Is that correct? To lose half of his net worth in advent of having a romance with another woman that no particular. It seems as though the world, if we look in the world, that these gentlemen who are at the top upper echelon, richest people in the world, seem to publicly fall out with their romances and find themselves marrying much younger than themselves. And it just shows, it displays a type of behavior to women that the average man doesn't have the means to have that behavior, and yet women believe that every man has that behavior. It's that, the saying goes like, all men are dogs, and the way that I roll off on that one is that if all men are dogs, then all dogs go to heaven. So what's the issue with the problem? And it leads me to think that not everyone, behaves in the most appropriate way. And so I've been following this Jeff Bezos thing, and I think that for the world, this may not be positive. And it goes against all of his company mottos or company standards, because he's now lost, half of his net worth to a woman who is now scorned by him sending racy texts, according to the headlines, to a woman named Lauren Sanchez, whom was a married woman. And it leads me to believe that the Jeff Bezos' wife, Mackenzie Bezos, will do whatever she can to slander Jeff, even though he has made a terrible mistake for the world. Slander him, and in the wake of doing that, slander a majority of men, because most men are heterosexual, and it will make it out to be that all men are like this, and it's just not the case. And it seems this way because Jeff Bezos, probably his biggest competition comes from Elon Musk, whom has different philosophy in life, but competes relatively directly with the businesses that Jeff Bezos runs. And the other individuals whom, are in this conversation, the Waltons and the Fords and the Brins and whatnot, they don't necessarily have the public image that these two individuals have, as it relates to the cultural hemisphere of the world, not let alone the United States. And both of these men have been adulterers, um, with their wives and the women they've been quote unquote faithful to or unfaithful to. So, it just makes it a hard world to live in. And in the opposite spectrum of these multi-billionaires, you have people like Tony Tutini and people like Dan Bilzerian, who out the gate, what they're about. And it seems like it seems as though logically everyone should, male, female, whatever gender you are, should be being more positive to the people who are honest about their private lives, rather than the individuals who are dishonest about their private lives. The people who are more revealing will tell you the truth. The people less revealing will likely lie to you and be dishonest. So when we have a gentleman like Jeff Bezos and a gentleman like Dan Bilzerian, or Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, working behind closed doors, doing things under the guise of secrecy and privacy, there's a lot of, ugliness that comes from that. Whereas you have a guy like Tony Tutini, Travis Bannon, a Krill, or Dan Bilzerian. They're out there in the public. They're telling you exactly what they're doing, what they're about, and they're honest. They don't have, they're more polyamorous than they are monogamous. It just seems that the monogamy thing is just not working out for, people with a lot of net wealth, due to the fact that women obviously are very philanderous. Yeah, I think that's the right word. And will, do things that can and will cause, can and are most likely to cause a lot of public backlash and scrutiny of a gentleman of high net wealth. And this, it kind of like, maybe I shouldn't give a shit about this, because it's most likely that I will never be a billionaire or a millionaire that is close to even owning $1 billion. So maybe I shouldn't be concerned with this, but they say you should definitely be I don't know, concerned about this type of things as it reflects on the Commonwealth. Anyway, so with this being said, you then have to be conscientious of the bourgeoisie, and as it relates to the political hemisphere. And clearly, we have Donald Trump in office. He is this philanderer. Some say would be sexist, homophobic. Some would say racist. Some would say a lot of different things to slander him, whether they're true or not true. But he, as a person, has made some choices that somewhat reflect the choices that Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have made. And as a result, though these negative choices reflect on the personal character and business character of these gentlemen. So Donald Trump, maybe, he may be making some culturally and socially negative choices based on because of his net wealth will, better his livelihood. And as a result, a lot of people are negatively affected by that. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're, a celebrity or you're a businessman of high, a businessman of a lot of popularity or whatnot. The question comes integrity, and so we have these guys who have, become their secrets have become public, and their integrity is at a all-time low for, a Donald Trump, a Jeff Bezos, and Elon Musk. These individuals are the individuals that run the world, to the public, in the public, to the public eye. And there's a better word for that, but in the public eye, these are the individuals that run the world, the people behind closed doors, the trillionaires and their gazillionaires, with high net wealth. The ones that are the people who control the Fords and the people who control, the Rothschilds. Those folks, they're able to keep their world separate from this public hemisphere of the people who made their money in, the online services, or made their money in the hospitality game. Any business that you have to be people centric, and these businessmen who are people centric instead of, gas, oil, diamonds, gold, coal, to some degree, because, big business does make mistakes. So you have the Koch brothers, who are pretty public, and the Fords and whatnot. But the people who the people who are really in the land game, own a whole lot of the land and the oil, and essentially have claim to the earth. Those individuals aren't necessarily in the public eye. Some of them are, clearly, the Rothschilds and whatnot. There are obviously other ones that I'm too just not educated well on those names. I'm sure some of you conspiracy theorists out there can definitely give me all 12 of them. But it's interesting enough to see that these men, they are the world's role models on how to move or behave with a whole lot of wealth. And these kids that are growing up today, the ones that are the next Mark Zuckerbergs, or the next Sergey Brin's or whatever of the world, to build these applications that will be utilized in either the virtual world or the augmented reality or mixed reality, or if we're still on this 10-year span of cyborg nature of holding a cell phone in our hands, building the applications that are going to be on our next generation, iPhones and Androids. That is to say, if, since Apple is pulling away from the iPhone and focusing more on the services, to say that those individuals aren't working for the brand and is are we essentially moving into a world in which there are less countries rather than, businesses? So, you get into the 1984 style reality, or even the Fahrenheit 451 you know dystopian reality where um the the governors of our world are businesses. So you have, you eat at Apple, you live at Apple, you work at Apple, everything is provided to you service wise, information, everything is given to you by Apple. And if you decide that you're going to go over there and, use LG or Samsung or whatever, you're going to be disciplined for that, and they're going to, give you less information, less access. They're going to lower your pay. They're going to cause you to be, or cause a person who is of Apple society to have less than those who are brand loyal. And you see that in loyalty programs and whatnot. But Apple has kind of been, shitty to everyone. It doesn't matter who you are. And that's maybe my perspective, because I've been outside of the Apple hemisphere for my entire life, essentially. I mean, like, I've had an iPod, I've had an iPad, and then you're going to have hype beasts that are going to be like, you suck ass, your family ain't had no money, your mama ain't had no money, you ain't had no money, you suck, you're trash, yada yada yada, telling me, or basically insinuating I'm a poor, that I'm, I ain't got it like that, I'm a suck, I'm a lame, that type of stuff, because they're, Apple hype beasts. And then you have, same to say for Samsung. Like, you ain't got the Samsung earpods, you ain't got this, that, the third, left and right. You're not an Android boy or whatnot. You're whatever you are. I don't know. And then we have these other companies that are in the game, Amazon, da 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 da, and it's like these people who established these companies, were they aware of the negative consequences of their companies becoming successful? And then on top of that, the behavior that they display in the public eye it begins to match the negative consequences of their companies, or the negative behaviors of their companies. So what is going on with it? What is going on in the world? How do we make it more happy if there's just continually all this negativity? And then, I don't know. This just kind of bothers me to a degree, and as a result, it comes up in my media feed, on my Facebook, on my Twitter, on my LinkedIn, on my my Snapchat. My Snapchat is Snapchat in general. Who started that? I think it was like a Jake or something. That Snapchat founders. What's his name? What is his name? What's his name? Snapchat founder. Okay, come on, Google. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Evan, this Evan guy, right? And Reggie and Bobby, okay? These guys have built, a platform which is the extreme of, they've built the extreme of Instagram to the most extreme. It's solely focused on, selfie reality, where we're all just kind of like, capturing photos of ourselves, which I don't have I don't have any problem with that. But when it becomes, the it is the source for adult content, triple X content. Like, it is the place to go for triple X content, and it's been like that since its its like creation. Uh, it's crazy to see how that's gonna, develop. How are they gonna be able to separate from child pornography to um adult, uh, family friendly environment? I mean, it just doesn't seem like the content then on there is like in between somewhere. It's like it's got a lot of time, and people give it a harsh rap because it does put off such a negative um, image to the society that we live in. It's the low hanging fruit stuff. It's the world stars. It's the fuck Jerry's. It's the, you know what I mean. It's just it's a lot, and I don't know how, it's the trash Wall Street Journal. It's just so bad, and there's not a lot of like middle moderate content on there. It's mostly super left leaning, just trash. Like, if the trashiest trash, if you can get, like, just as if like is as if they just threw Coke bottles, just plastic all over the ground, and they're like, just look at this trash heap. It's as if we went to the garbage dump and just took pictures of the garbage dump and posted it online. Huge mounds of trash, just all plastic, fake, just wrappers, not even bottles, not even nothing you could like recycle. It's all just condoms and the wrappers, the things that hold together the Coke bottles. It's just bad. It's so bad, and it's all there on Snapchat. That's what Snapchat is. Instagram is like slightly better version, I guess, but I mean, the what like I've been hearing lately that Instagram is basically just soft core, soft core pornography, and I don't know. I don't know how we get out of this this visceral visual world that we're in. It seems like that we're stuck, at least for a while. And then I think that once virtual reality is more accepted, it'll just become a little bit more. It'll be more. It'll be worse in some ways. Clearly, like there will be. It's not until we get to the point at which there's a true augmented reality in which we can have some haptic feedback that we really get an idea of where we are. I mean, if anybody has gone and seen since I recommended it before, the movie or the series Maniac on Netflix, which I highly recommend that you go watch. It's a dystopian reality, but kind of a dystopian reality as if it was stuck in the 70s ish era, maybe early 80s. And as if the time really didn't move out of that. Um, and I think we're moving sort of into a safer reality, but we're kind of held back by certain desires that we have. I think that, you know I've chose to kind of remove most pornography out of my life, including soft core pornography. Clearly, the type of content that Dan's Bilzerian, um, Tony Tutini, Travis Bainon, Hugh Hefner, these guys that are the most successful men in the world, um, well-rounded successful men in the world, they live off of this softcore pornography world. And and the gentleman Greg Lansky, which I found out about, who's the runner of those hardcore pornography businesses, but makes a lot of money in softcore porn as well. These these guys, it makes it very difficult, especially when you got a Jeff Bezos who's getting a divorce and then gets a beautiful woman who's got a low cut top with her, cleavage just busting out. You know what I mean? For a person to not to avoid the way that the internet works, in that when something looks a certain way, the internet associates image-wise everything that image, it looks like it looks in colors and in pixels, associates things that are like that picture in colors and image and pixels. So you may be looking at you may even be looking at a man with a shirt off, but the computer thinks no different between male, female, trans, whatever. It doesn't care. It doesn't associate a majority of the time, because the algorithm isn't programmed to that level. And so you'll be looking at one thing, and then boom, it'll show you another thing. It's like, essentially, if you like girls, it's going to show you it's going to show you hardcore pornography of women, but it's also going to show you hardcore pornography of men. So like if you like women, or if you like men, you're going to get both, because it just disassociates. So it doesn't associate a penis and a vagina. It doesn't know the difference between those two things, image-wise. At least Google Images doesn't, or Go Dog Go, or whatever. You Go Fetch, Bing, whatever. You know what I mean? Safari, or Google Chrome, or Opera, or whatever. You know what I mean? Whatever you use to browse the internet. And it does the same thing with businesses. So your private business, your public business, your left business, your right business, it just throws it all into the same heap and calls it trash, and then processes it out, because the algorithms that the programmers, the developers, they're programming, are being influenced by the humanity rather than the science. The humanities control the internet at this time, whereas the sciences control a small portion of the internet. If you want to learn something about how at a molecular level something works, you have to dig super deeply into the internet to find that niche. Whereas if you want to figure out how the human mind works, or the humanities of things work, you just literally open the internet. There it is. Boom. Fiction, non-fiction, whatever you want. If you want to read a book, it's right in front of you. Boom. Right in front of you. Like, as soon as you open up the internet, you just look at anything, and boom, humanities. Not the sciences. There's very little science and engineering that is applied into the internet. It's mostly half-witted programmers just programming something to touch their private business, or you know, salivate their taste, or very little of it is intellectual property. It's more majority of emotional property. It's very little intellectual property, which is ironic given that men are primarily physical beings. There's very little emotional investment into a lot of things, and yet for some odd reason there is a large emotional investment into the internet for men. It's the outlet. It's the outlet aside from emotionally outletting into the emotionally outletting onto other human beings. They emotionally outlet into the programming, whether that's anger, fear. It's, as Elon Musk said it best, it's our limbic system that's mostly, it's a reflection of our limbic system, what is the internet. It's our fears, our doubts, our love, our cry. It's all that, very little the intellectual cortex process of what we are. So it's less the thinking portions of our brain, which is our processors. So our issue is that we're unable to process much of the hard drive that we have. So our brain has a huge hard drive, but it has hardly any random access, and very little processing speed. So our data processing of our hard drive is very slow, let alone the process between the computer's hard drive, which is every single computer in the world, and our ability to understand and think about that in the matter of moments. So like, it's when I was watching the Elon Musk interview with Joe Rogan, the Elon Musk interview with Bloomberg, his documentary on the BBC, this individual has put out a lot of content, documentary content, as it relates to the intellectual nature of his world. The most intelligent man in the world, arguably the most intelligent man in the world, and one of the most intelligent men in the world currently, has put out a lot of intellectual property to display that there's an issue in the world with our world. But some of the issue has to do with these programmers and developers such as Evan, Reggie, and Bobby, the guys over at Instagram, Mark, that they have put their intellectual property behind a payment wall, rather than utilizing the person that they are for a greater good. They have chose to be selfish with their intellectual property, and focus rather on the money rather than on the historical correctness. So that's pretty much what I got to say today. I would rather be focusing on the historical correctness because I want to put out as much content, free content as I can, open source content as I can and be as transparent to of the person I am internally, not externally, but the person I am internally, to the people the good people, you people, me people, those people, them people, us people, her people, his people, all of the kind people of the world, to let them know that I have love, I have hate, I have fear, I have doubt. I have all of the same things that we're all dealing with, and I want to also put out there how I think about these things, my intellectual nature, and make that as much of less behind a payment wall than it possibly can. I don't want and I don't want to be the guy to like just be like, you have to pay $15 per month to get my my opinion of the world, or entertainment from me, whatever you get from me, from my podcasts, from my live streams, from public events, private events, whatever you get from that, I hope that it doesn't hinder you financially, and I hope that whatever you're doing, this may better your financial state, or it may better your emotional state, whatever it is, your intellectual state, whatever that is. Anyway, this podcast is brought to you by Anchor.fm. You can go to Anchor.fm/Trent Knox to view this podcast if you're watching the live stream, or wherever you found this podcast at. And then Anchor.fm is an excellent source for you to get your podcast out there. If you've thought about doing a podcast, I highly recommend heading over to Anchor.fm and getting started today. Don't wait, because the longer you wait, the more difficult it is going to be for you to get started. You got to get it started today. And that being said, I highly recommend that Anchor.fm. They do distribution across all the major DSPs, digital streaming platforms, so they can definitely get you in the right place. Additionally, they do offer, the ability to monetize through sponsorships, sponsored ad placement alongside your podcast, but you don't have to worry about any of that. Also, they allow you to monetize through a subscription from your viewers who are so kind to give you the opportunity of continuing your podcast, whether that's with as small as $1 or $50 a month. That is gonna make it so that you're able to continue doing the podcast. And maybe you start off in a home studio, and then you grow, and then you get like a little small office space aside from that home studio, so you can like utilize the space in your home for maybe a little bit better situation. Or maybe you're a home person and you like to stay inside. Maybe you can improve your home studio to really get studio quality level. Or so let's say you want to go and you get to the point that you can have that. It's good that there's a company out there that's going to help you do that. Anyway, so Anchor.fm/Trent Knox, and you can start off there. Just check out my stuff, and then you can figure out the rest pretty easily from the help section if you have any questions. But if you have any questions, for sure, come to me, ask me, and I can tell you, I can give you what I know about podcasts, and maybe help you get started on your podcast, whether that's the podcast, recording, live streaming, merchandising, whatever that may be. I'll do my best to help you. You can send me an email at trent@trentknox.com. Speaking of which, if you want to head over to trentknox.com, check out the website. Look at what I got going on. I've got a lot of work still to be doing on the website. If you have any suggestions or comments, definitely go on there. Send me an email, trent@trentknox.com, of any type of like recommendations or whatnot.
Yeah, and then Postmates, of course, if you go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/Trent Knox TV, facebook.com/TRENTKNOX TV. That's it. That's the Facebook page. And pinned at the top, the big one, is the Postmates link. If you thought that you might need to get another extra gig, earn a little side cash, or maybe you need a full-time gig, I highly recommend going over there and checking out that link. We've got a promotions running if you use my code. The first 55 deliveries in Austin. Now hold up, you're saying, oh, just Austin? No, it does work in other markets. So if Postmates is available in your market, which you can find out by going to that website, going through the link, the link that's on my Facebook page pinned at the top. Going through that, for the first 55 deliveries, you'll earn a guaranteed $600 plus a bonus of $150 once you complete those first 55 deliveries. I believe that's to be the case. $150, you both get $150 is basically what's going on here. And so, yeah, that's definitely an opportunity there. I think that, twitch.tv, obviously, /Trent Knox, twitch.tv /TRENTKNOX on Twitch. Twitch TV is where I do majority of the live streams. I'm not exactly sure if I'll continue to do the podcast on twitch.tv. I may be moving over to YouTube just so that we can have a little bit more of a place for the podcasts. I'll still do live streams on Twitch, but we'll kind of separate the gaming from the podcast content. That's only because Twitch was designed for gaming, and they haven't really made it they haven't made it a point to make the podcasting and the in raw life section a priority, to say, because they've allowed content creators to kind of be the wild west of sorts on there. And YouTube's done the same thing, as well as Periscope over there. But I'm going to do my best to have it on Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube. Facebook, they're kind of giving me the kick in the ass because they still want $15 from me to stream over there, and I'm saying nope, not giving you any money over there. Not at this moment. Maybe in another time we might see that happens, but at this time that's not going to happen. So I feel like I should have shouted something else out. Obviously, Austin Live and Local for all of your Austin Live and Austin-based news and whatnot. As much as I can do it these days, I'm kind of slacking on the Austin Live and Local stuff. Shout out to all of my other podcast buddies and friends. And yeah, I appreciate y'all for listening to this podcast. This is Trent Knox Show, Season 3, Episode 6, solo episode. I'll catch you on the next one.